walk me through. You graduate, you're ready to go to the NFL. What happens?
So, I'll start a little bit earlier. The NFL was never really my goal. I
Hmm.
wanted to go get an education,
Yep.
enjoy the college life, so to
Sure.
speak. And I did that, but the NFL was never really my goal. And I vividly remember after my sophomore year in college, we had another guy by the name of Jerome Simpson, who is a really, really talented wide receiver. So college pro scouts was coming to see him, and my head coach was like, "Hey, best player on our team is right there." I was number 40 in college, right? So the best player on our team is right there. And I remember the Dallas Cowboys scout saying, we don't want a 5'9", 240-pound fullback. We don't need that. He'll never play in the league. And the next day, my college coach, Coach Bennett, put a Dallas Cowboys star in my locker. And that stayed, like that chip on my shoulder stayed until I retired from the NFL, right?
Wow.
But that motivated me to prove not only him wrong, but to prove myself right. Like, hey, I am the best player here. Like, let me continue to prove that to everybody.
Yeah.
But moving in, after graduation, getting all the accolades in college, whether it was, all conference, all American, you know, I was realistic, because I played a lot of running back in
Hmm.
at Coastal in college, but I also understood that I was transitioning to more fullback in the pros, and fullbacks don't get drafted, that
Yeah.
that much. So I think the year I came out, it was maybe two or three fullbacks that was drafted.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
understood, I was realistic. I just needed an opportunity,
Yeah.
and as draft moves on, back then it was only 2 days, now it's 3 days. As day two moves on, we get into round 5, 6, 7, and I had a lot of teams calling saying, "Hey, look, we're going to draft you. If we don't draft you, we want you as a preferred free agent." Preferred free agent are like the free agents that get the quote unquote big money out of free agency, on undrafted free agents. So I had probably 6 or 7 teams that wanted to be, me to sign with them as a preferred free agent. And honestly, at the time, LaDainian Tomlinson was my favorite player in the league. So I got the opportunity to go to San Diego. Um, it was just a perfect situation.
Yeah.
They had just released Lorenzo Neal. They had another fullback that was coming back off of microfracture knee surgery. So they wasn't sure if he was going to be ready. So the spot was wide open. I just had to go take it. They
Yeah.
drafted, I don't know if you remember the name Jacob Hester out of LSU.
I, I
He
don't
played
know.
running back, fullback out of LSU. They drafted him to kind of take that position, but they needed somebody to go push him. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I did,
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, a decade later, the writing's on the wall, but I definitely think that Dallas Cowboy scout had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that story. So then you go to you move to San Diego. I would love to just hear in your words walking out into the stadium that first game, the first game that you're suited up and you are a San Diego Charger and you are playing in the biggest league in the world and you walk through the tunnel. What is that feeling like?
It's kind of surreal because, as I tell this story all the time when people ask about my
Yeah.
days in San Diego, my first encounter, I told you, LaDainian Tomlinson was my favorite player at the time.
Yeah.
My first encounter when I walk into the building is Antonio Gates, Sean Merriman talking to the head trainer, right? And I'm just looking at these guys like, ooh, I gotta go hit him and I gotta block from him. You know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
the natural competitor in me, like I was not shying away from anything. And I remember being in the moment that I realized that I was in the right position is because we were in practice and we were running a play called 20 ISO, which is basically me going head on head with the linebacker, middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And we just kept running it over, over, over. Like I'm talking about back to back. And
Wow.
finally, the middle linebacker was Stephen Cooper, and we were hitting each other, going at it. And finally, after about 4 or 5 plays, the Daniel Thompson comes to me. He taps me on the back of the head. And he goes, "Young fella, if you do that every play, you can block for me anytime." And
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, I made it." Now I'm going even
yeah.
harder, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember we played the Seattle Seahawks in the preseason, and I wasn't starting at the time. We played the Seattle Seahawks in preseason, and I get out there and I'm on all special teams, and I'm just going crazy like a wild man because I'm happy. Like this is heaven for me, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm going like a wild man. I'm on all special teams. I made probably 3 tappers on special teams. Um, just did my job really well, you know. And then can't remember who the second game was, but I remember the first game of like the actual regular season was
Yeah.
the New York Jets at home in Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego,
Yeah.
played the New York Jets, and just being able to say I made 53-man roster, you know, as an undrafted guy, and I actually played. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like one of those.
Yeah.
I'm not 53 out of 53, maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
25 out of 53, but I'm not the
Yeah.
last guy in. You know, and I
Yeah.
actually played a lot. And then as time moved on, it became we got to make sure he's on the field, and
Mm.
that was tiring because I was
Yeah.
on all special teams except for field goals, and I was playing probably 20 to 30 plays on offense as well.
Wow.
So it was a hard season, but it was fun, really fun.
And what's it like? I think people understand that a Sunday is just hellacious on your body, and it takes a couple days to recover, and then you're back into practice. What was it like after you played that game with the Jets? When you wake up on Monday morning, are you beat up? Are you sore? Or are you ready to go?
Well, I think there's I call it a sweet spot. There's a sweet spot when you're playing in NFL, probably from like year 3 to like year 7, to
Yeah.
where you feel everything.
Yeah.
Every practice, every punch, every weight you lift, every sprint you
Yep.
run, you feel it. So that's really when you start taking care of your body the right way. When you start doing massages and cold tub, hot tub, sauna, steam room, that type of stuff. Taking care of your body, getting the multivitamin IV drips, things like that, because you feel it. Like year 1, year 2, I was 22, 23 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I was running out there with my hair on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
hitting everything moving, getting up the next day, going to the gym, working out. So it wasn't until I got into like 25, 26 years old when I started to say, "Oh, that don't feel the
Yeah.
same." You know what I mean?
This hurts.
Yeah. So that's when I really started taking care of my body.